My name is Natalie Chen. I'm 35, the founder of Stratus Innovations in Seattle. For most of my life, I've been the invisible sibling, the one people brushed past, underestimated, and never really saw. I thought my sister's wedding might finally change that. It didn't. 2 weeks after signing a $30 million contract with my future brother-in-law's company, they seated me at a tiny folding table beside the kitchen doors while the rest of the guests laughed under crystal chandeliers. And when I learned Emily, my own sister, had approved that seating chart herself, something inside me finally cracked. If you've ever built your own success only to watch your family pretend it doesn't exist, you'll understand exactly how that moment felt. I had tried to convince myself the invitation meant something. The card had arrived on thick ivory paper with copper foil lettering, formal and elegant. Mr. and Mrs. David Chen request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter Emily Chen to Mr. Jonathan Blake. I had stared at it for a long time. The irony was almost painful. My company had just finalized a $30 million cloud infrastructure contract with Blake Enterprises, Jonathan Blake's firm. In theory, I was one of the most important business partners in the room. In my own family, though, I was still the afterthought. Even my mother's phone call about the wedding had sounded more like a warning than an invitation. "Just come and behave, Natalie," she had said, behave, as if I was the unpredictable one. As if I hadn't spent the last decade quietly building a company from nothing. Still, I told myself this wedding might be different. Maybe success would finally make them see me. Maybe Emily had grown up a little. The Blake estate on the wedding day looked like something out of a luxury magazine. Gardens trimmed to perfection, fountains glimmering under soft lights, servers moving through the crowd with trays of champagne. Jake stood beside me, steady and calm as always, adjusting his blazer while he took in the scene. "This is intense," he murmured. "Classic Blake family extravagance," I replied with a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. My mother spotted me almost immediately. Her gaze flicked over my emerald dress and then to Jake beside me. "You came," she said, sounding mildly surprised. "And this is Jake Morales," he said smoothly, offering his hand. She accepted it politely but without warmth. Before I could say anything else, she steered me toward a group near a marble fountain where my father and Jonathan Blake were standing. Jonathan greeted me with genuine interest when he heard my name. "So you're the mind behind Stratus Innovations," he said. "Your team's rollout has been impressive." I started to respond, but my mother laughed lightly and cut in. "Oh, Natalie's always been our little computer whiz," she said, the way someone might describe a childhood hobby. "But Emily's really shining in the family business." Jonathan's expression shifted slightly. "Emily never mentioned her sister runs Stratus," he said. Emily had just walked over at that moment. She shrugged casually. "Didn't seem relevant," she said, giving me a quick half-hug. "She's busy with her tech stuff. Tech stuff." The words sat in the air like a quiet insult. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. Jonathan had already heard enough to understand. The ceremony itself was beautiful. The reception hall afterward was even more elaborate: gold-rimmed plates, towering floral arrangements, chandeliers reflecting soft light across the ballroom. Guests laughed and mingled while a string quartet played near the dance floor. For a moment, I almost believed the night might still turn out fine. Then we reached the seating table. The wedding planner scrolled down her digital chart, her smile tightening slightly as she found my name. "Natalie Chen +1, she said. "Table O." Jake leaned closer. "Table O?" The planner waved a catering assistant over. "They'll show you." We followed him through the ballroom, past the elegant tables filled with investors, executives, and family friends. Past the bar and the dance floor, past the doors leading toward the service corridor. The air changed as soon as we stepped into the hallway behind the kitchen. Warm steam, clattering dishes, the smell of fryer oil replacing the soft scent of roses. The assistant pushed open a door and gestured quietly. Right here, the table was a folding rectangle tucked against the wall beside stacked catering trays and plastic tubs filled with dirty glasses, 2 metal chairs. A wrinkled linen cloth that barely covered the surface. For a moment, I honestly thought it was a mistake. "You're kidding," I said. The catering manager nearby avoided my eyes. "I'm very sorry," she said quietly. "Last-minute seating changes," the bride insisted. Jake's jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. Across the hallway, I could see through the service door into the ballroom, Emily laughing with guests, my parents sitting proudly at the head table. Crystal glasses clinking while waiters poured champagne. My sister had placed me here deliberately, in the corner beside the staff entrance. Like something embarrassing that needed to stay out of sight, Jake squeezed my hand. "You don't have to stay," he said softly. I stared at the flimsy table for a long moment, then I stood up. Not dramatically, not angrily, just calmly. The catering manager looked relieved. "Again, I'm sorry," she repeated. I smiled gently at her. "None of this is your fault." Jake and I walked back through the hallway toward the ballroom entrance. Just as we reached the door, Jonathan Blake appeared on the other side, clearly looking for someone. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Natalie," he said, "there you are. I've been meaning to introduce you to some of our board members." He paused when he noticed the direction we'd come from. "Were you seated back there?" I nodded. Apparently, his expression darkened instantly. Across the room, Emily noticed the interaction and started walking toward us, confusion on her face. Jonathan turned slightly so his voice carried across the nearby tables. "Emily," he said calmly, "why is the CEO of the company we just signed a $30 million partnership with sitting next to the kitchen?" The room went quiet. Conversations stalled. My sister froze mid-step. For the first time all evening, every single person in the ballroom was looking directly at me, not the invisible sibling, not the afterthought, the founder, the partner. The woman who had built something real without any of them. Emily's smile faltered. My parents looked stunned. And standing there beside Jake, watching their expressions finally change, I realized something that felt both painful and freeing at the same time. Their approval had never been the thing that made my success real. Walking away from that kitchen table had, before I could speak, a voice drawled behind us. Well, everything all right here?" Tara appeared in the doorway, a glass of champagne lifted in one manicured hand. Her smile so sugary it made my teeth ache. Her blush gown sparkled under harsh fluorescent lights as though she were starring in her own movie. "There's been a mistake," Jake said firmly. "Natalie's the bride's sister." Tara's grin didn't waver. "We had to prioritize. Dad's business partners, close friends, you understand, right?" I parted my lips, but words stalled. Over Tara's shoulder, I spotted Emily lingering at the edge of the grand hall, watching everything unfold and doing absolutely nothing. Humiliation slammed into me like a slap. "I'm your sister," I managed, my voice sounding foreign to my own ears. Tara tilted her head slightly. "Exactly, which makes you extended family now, I suppose." Jake stepped forward, but I pressed my hand against his chest. "Not here, not now, I need a minute," I murmured. Jake nodded, eyes dark. "I'll be right outside." I slipped away and ducked into the nearest bathroom, a single-occupancy powder room off the corridor. Locking the door, I sank onto the closed toilet lid and pressed my palms against my eyes. But the tears still came, not just tears for today, but for 35 years of this 15th birthday forgotten, Berkeley graduation missed. Every milestone, every achievement overshadowed, minimized, twisted to make Emily shine brighter. And now this, alone, staring at the cracked tiles, something in me broke clean in half. Enough. I snatched up my phone, scrolling fast until I found Ethan's name. "Hit call," he answered instantly. "Natalie, everything okay? I thought you were at the wedding of the century." "Ethan, cancel the Blake contract, effective immediately." A stunned silence. "Are you sure?" "Completely." I hung up before he could argue. I smoothed my dress, dabbed my makeup, and headed back toward the kitchen, each step calm and steady. If they wanted drama, they'd get it. Some people throw tantrums at weddings. I end multi-million-dollar deals, left the bathroom and walked the hall, pulse cool and controlled. That part of me, the one desperate for their approval, attention, love, felt like it burned out completely in that tiny bathroom. What remained was sharper, clearer. The reception tent buzzed with soft jazz and murmured conversations. Wait staff glided between tables, balancing trays of champagne, oblivious to the quiet battle raging in my chest. I spotted the head table. Jonathan Blake sat at the center, flanked by Tara in her shimmering blush gown and Emily in her tailored satin dress. Around them clustered executives, family friends, laughing like nothing in the world could touch them. I didn't hesitate. I cut across the room, weaving between tables, ignoring the polite nods and awkward half-smiles from distant relatives I hadn't seen in years. Jonathan noticed me first, his eyes narrowed, confusion flickering as he straightened in his chair, one hand gripping a crystal wine glass. Emily's gaze followed, shifting from detached to stunned, and then Tara. Her smile froze mid-laugh, color draining from her cheeks as if she already knew what was about to hit. I stopped 2 steps from the head table, pulled out my phone, and dialed. "Ethan, it's Natalie," I said, my voice steady, pitched loud enough to carry. "Effective immediately, terminate the Blake contract." Gasps rippled through the tables like shock waves. Jonathan half rose, palms braced flat against the linen cloth. "Natalie," he said, voice low and tight, "let's not do this here." I turned and met his stare head-on. "Oh, we're absolutely doing this here." Nellie pushed to stand, nearly tipping her wine glass. "Nap, please, let's talk privately, okay? This isn't the time." I focused on her, letting years of quiet hurt hard in my voice. "You've had years to talk, Emily. You chose silence." Silence spread across the tent. Near the dessert table, a spoon clattered to the floor. From across the room, I saw 2 men rise. Michael Lee from Harbor Capital and Gerald Evans from Alpine Ventures, exchanging quick glances as they approached me. "Miss Chen," Michael said gently, eyes flicking to Jonathan. "Could we discuss straightest just briefly?" Whispers swelled around us like an incoming storm. Tara opened her mouth, but whatever cutting remark she'd rehearsed died unsaid. I offered no one another word. Turning, phone still in hand, I strode out of the tent without looking back. Jake caught up near the valet stand, falling into step beside me with a grin curling at the edges like slow burning fire. Jake leaned in, voice low, meant only for me. That was legendary. Funny thing about burning bridges, it makes for a much clearer skyline. By Monday morning, my inbox was a war zone. Subject lines screamed, URGI termination. "Please call Jonathan Blake reconsideration." 14 missed calls blinked on my phone, 2 from Emily, 1 from my mother, several from numbers I didn't need caller ID to recognize. I sat at my desk sipping my Americano like it was any ordinary Monday. Ethan appeared in my doorway, phone in hand. "You weren't kidding." "They're blowing up every channel short of sending carrier pigeons." I twisted my chair to face him. "Good, let them sweat." A grin tugged at his mouth. "I've drafted the termination letter. Send it." "Do it," I said. Before he could leave, my phone buzzed again. A text from Emily. "You've ruined everything." I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Jake arrived carrying 2 coffees like peace offerings. Without missing a beat, he handed me one. "Or maybe you finally saved your own dignity. Shame she didn't figure it out sooner." I let out a dry laugh and dropped my phone on the desk. By mid-morning, the calls shifted tone. Michael Lee from Harbor Capital left a voicemail. "Natalie, we'd love to discuss new partnerships." An hour later, Gerald Evans from Alpine Ventures emailed about a meeting. Momentum was shifting. At 11:32, Claire Jensen's name popped up. I answered immediately. "Claire, they're scrambling," she whispered. "Jonathan's called an emergency board meeting. Hops is panicking, legal's a mess." I leaned back. "And you?" A pause, then gently, "Between us, I don't blame you." For the first time since that wedding, I smiled. After lunch, I found an email from Aunt Diana. "Natalie, I heard what happened. Finally, someone in this family broke the cycle." "I'm proud of you, Aunt Diana." My chest tightened with resolve. Before I could reply, another text from Emily came through. "Lunch, just you and me, tomorrow." A small Capitol Hill bistro smelled of garlic and herbs. I arrived early, wanting the choice to stay or leave. Emily was already there, looking small in the booth, fingers tapping a water glass. When she saw me, something in her face cracked, so I said, folding my hands, "You wanted to talk." She took a shuddering breath. "I was jealous, always have been since high school. You were the smart one, the driven one. No matter what I did, it never felt like enough." "Then why?" I asked. "It was easier to tear you down than admit I'd never catch up," she whispered. "Jonathan just amplified it. That's not my burden anymore," I said evenly. Emily winced. "Is there any way to fix this?" "Maybe," I said after a pause, "but it starts with you fixing yourself. I'm done carrying your insecurities." She nodded miserably. "I deserve that. You deserve a chance to do better. What you do with it, that's on you." Outside, Jake pulled up, rolling down his window, smiling like sunlight breaking through clouds. Ready to go. That night, a new email arrived from Aunt Diana. "Dinner next week, just us girls." "You've earned it," I smiled, looking out over Seattle summer lights, thinking maybe the best seat at the table is the one I build for myself. For the first time in years, I wasn't dreading the next family dinner. The echoes of betrayal still lingered, but they were overpowered by something stronger. Self-respect reclaimed, boundaries redrawn. Because when injustice meets unwavering resolve, even the most gilded tables can be overturned. If you've ever been overlooked or underestimated, I'd love to hear your story. Drop me a comment and let me know how you reclaimed your worth. And remember, protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's survival. Stand tall, speak your truth, and build the seat you deserve at any